Alright guys, so we're going to divide decimals today. This is probably one of the most challenging things you'll do with decimals. I'm going to show you how to do it, and then maybe you can just skip ahead and look at the shortcut, okay, if you're not interested in the how. Alright, so first, let's look at this first problem right here. So we've got 19 and 383 thousandths divided by 2 and 1/10. So the problem with this is right now we have a decimal as a divisor, the second number, and we don't want a decimal there. So when we write this problem, it's going to look like this. 2 and 1/10 on the outside, and then underneath the division box, we have 19 and 383 thousandths. And this is no good because it's hard to divide and think about decimals. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename this divisor into a whole number. And to do that, we're going to cross off this decimal and we're going to move it one time to the right, and this becomes a whole number. So now we have 21 on the outside. And in math, whatever you do to one number, you got to do to the other number to keep it balanced. So we're going to cross off this decimal right here and slide it one time to the right. And so we get on the inside, you get 193 and 83 hundredths. Okay? A big mistake kids make is they move this decimal point too many times. You can't do that. If we move the outside one, the left one, only one time, you can only move this only one time as well, okay? So you can't just suddenly move this like three times and make the inside number a whole number as well, okay? Now, for those of you who are curious, let me tell you why this works. Let me show you why this works. In case someone says, hey, how come you're able to do that? You can explain to them, oh, well, this is why it works, okay? So for those of you who don't care, you can just skip ahead like a minute or two and you'll go to the rest of the problem, okay? So here's why this works. Let me show you as a fraction, because fractions are our friends, right? So our problem written as a fraction looks like this: 19 and 383 thousandths divided by 2 and 1/10. Okay? Now, we want the bottom number, we want the denominator to be a whole number. To get it a whole number, we're going to multiply it times 10. Okay? If we multiply the bottom times 10, hopefully you remember from fraction days that we multiply the top times 10 as well to keep things equal. Okay? Now remember, when we multiply times 10, we're going to move the decimal point one time to the right. Okay, so that's how come we were moving that decimal point to the right. We were actually multiplying times 10 without actually saying it. Okay, we were taking a shortcut. So up here, same thing. We're going to multiply times 10. That decimal point goes one time over, and so you get the same problem. You get 193 and 83 hundredths divided by 21. So this is why it works. If you don't care about the why, then just jump right in and just start moving decimal points around. Okay, just make sure you move it the correct number of times. So we can start dividing right now. Before you start dividing, let's move this decimal point straight up right here. Let me take a second and erase some of this work right here. Alright, so, whoa. Okay, so let's try that again. So when we start dividing, remember the steps for division, long division, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. If you need to write that down, don't feel bad. Some people like to remember as daddy, mommy, sister, brother. So divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So we're going to start dividing, okay? So see, 1 is smaller than 21, so I'm just going to put a 0 up there. 19, smaller than 21, put a 0 up there. Some teachers don't teach you this. I like to for my students to put zeros up there so that you don't put numbers in the wrong place. So stick those zeros up there, okay? And now we have 193 divided by 21. So some of you here might freeze and go, oh, I don't know my 21s. So if you remember from a long time ago, I told you guys, if you're not sure, if you're like, I have no idea where to start with 5. Don't just sit there and cry, guys. Just try something, alright? Try 5. 5 is good because it's right in the middle, right? So I'm going to try 21 times 5. 21 times 5 is 105. And I can see 105 is much less than 193, so I'm going to need to go higher, like 21 times 6, 21 times 7, 21 times 8, 21 times 9. But I'm going to show you a quick little strategy that my teacher taught me, and I want to teach it to you guys too. It's rounding, it's called estimating. Look at this, okay? What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to circle everything except for the last number. So there's a 2 right there. Same thing over here. Everything except for the last number. And there's a 19 right here. I'm just going to estimate this. Instead of saying this is 21, I'm going to say this is 20. And instead of saying there's 193, I'm going to say there's 190. Okay? So I'm just going to look at the 2 and the 19 because we can just ignore the 0. Okay? So 2 times 10 gives us 20, but that's too big. So I'm going to try 2 times 9. All right? Because I know 2 times 9 is 18, which is close to 19. So this has to work. So let's try. I have no idea where I'm going to show my work. Let's do 21 times 9 over here and I get 189. So 189. Hey, that works. Okay, it's just a little bit less than 193. You subtract, I get a 4. After you subtract, you bring down the 8. So now same strategy, right? 21 times what's going to give us 48? So I see a 2 and a 4, so I'm going to guess 2. I'm going to try 2. So 21 times 2 is going to give me 42. Subtract again, remainder of 6. Bring down the 3. I like to show the arrow. If you guys can show that too, that'd be good. Just remember that you are bringing down numbers. So now we have 63, so same strategy. Okay, I see a 6 right there, so I'm going to think, oh, I know 2 times 3 is 6, so I'm going to try 3. And then 21 times 3 is indeed 63, running out of space down here, okay? And you get a remainder of 0. So there's your answer. Your answer is 9 and 23 hundredths, okay? So that is a pretty tough problem. All of these are pretty tough problems. That's why there's only a total of 4 problems across 2 pages, okay? So, um, let's take a look at this problem right here. I'm not going to do the rest for you guys. I'm not going to do all your homework for you. For those of you who thought you were going to come and get all the answers, yeah, nice try, okay? But I will help you out by setting this one up for you, okay? So, I'm going to show you the fraction part and why it works, and then if you just want to see the shortcut, you can just skip ahead a little bit. So first, we have on the top, oh boy, let's see if I can even read this number. We have 1,344 10,000ths divided by 16 thousandths. Okay, so once again, we want a denominator that's a whole number. So notice we need to move the decimal point 3 times to the right. So we're not going to multiply times 10. That's not going to be enough. We're going to multiply times not even 100. We're going to multiply times 1,000. 1,000 has 3 zeros, so that means we're going to move this decimal point 3 times over right here. And so we get a whole number. We get 16 on the bottom. We must do the same thing up here too. Got to move this 3 times. So we're going to multiply this times 1,000 as well. Move it over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Notice we don't get a whole number for the numerator, but that's okay. So when we rewrite this, we get 16 on the outside as our divisor. And then on the inside, our dividend, we get 134 and 4/10. Okay? And then don't forget to bring up the decimal point. And then you can start dividing right here. Alright? Which you can do on your own. So that is page 11. Let's look at page 12. Page 12 is the same set of problems, or same style of problems, okay? Um, let's see. You know what? I am going to set up number 1 for you guys because there's something different about this problem. Just a tiny bit different that might throw you guys off, okay? So let's look at number 1. By the way, since you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can feel free to pause the video, try to set it up on your own and see what you get, and then unpause the video and see how I do it, okay? So once again, I'm going to show you the long, boring way about why it works. If you don't care about this, just skip ahead like a minute or two, okay? So we have 1 and 8 tenths on the top, and we're going to divide by 25 hundredths on the bottom. Okay, so notice, we need to move the decimal point 2 times over. Okay, which means we're multiplying times not 10, not 1,000, but multiplying times 100 because 2 zeros means 2 times over. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing up here, times 100. Now here's where you guys might get a little bit tricked or confused, okay? We're going to move this decimal point 2 times over, but you might notice there's only one number here. Well, don't be afraid. You can keep sliding, okay? One more over, and hopefully you guys remember, we fill in this gap with a 0. Okay, so on the top we have 180, and on the bottom we have 25. All right. So when you divide this, it's going to look like this. Nice whole numbers. Now, just by looking at this problem, I'm going to tell you right now that it's not going to come out evenly. So I don't want to see remainders. You're in 6th grade right now. What I want you to do is if you do get a remainder, add a decimal, add a decimal, add a zero or more. I don't know how much you need. And then keep on dividing. You keep on dividing until it ends, all right? All of these problems do end, at least last time I checked, okay? So, if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Good luck. You can definitely use a calculator to check your work, but like I said, Mrs. Sanchez and I are going to be looking for your work. And if we don't see your work, it's as good as it's as if you didn't do anything at all, okay? All right, good luck everyone.